Although it's possible to hack away with any leader using this technique, it won't be easy or effective. A long leader that incorporates a sighter makes your fishing easier. You can either buy a pre-made your own nymphing leader, or you can make one, as George shows here.
We're going to start off with a 9-foot 4X leader. We're going to cut down to approximately the OX diameter on that leader. Off of that, we're going to add OX cider material.
Multicolored
cider material, about 20 to 24 inches. And we're going to do a blood knot. Every color change, we're going to do a blood knot to provide points of contrast to a tippet ring.
That's it.
And that's it. And then your tip's going to be 3 to 6 feet, depending on the speed and depth of the water. Okay. But all we're going to do is start off with basically a 9-foot 4X tapered leader. We're going to add an OX cider material. So we're going to run our hand down the leader, this 9-foot 4X leader, about 5 feet until we have the OX diameter in sight. Just eyeball this. We're just going to clip this off. All we're going to do is we're going to attach our 3-tone cider material, the OX to the OX. Now, what a lot of people will do is they'll cut these tags off flush. But one of the things I like to do with this is I actually leave your tags. So what we're going to do is leave a tag that's maybe anywhere from like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, right there. And when you look at this from a side angle profile, it's going to be a lot easier sometimes by just even having those little tags off to either side, just giving you a better visual. And at every color change, just do a blood knot. Some people like to do it every color change. Some may only use it once, but I prefer to sometimes add several in my cider. And again, same thing. Gonna leave the tag ends about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. And we'll just do that for the same thing between the white and the orange. So our cider is going to be 20, 24 inches in length. Now we're just going to add a tippet ring. This is just a standard tippet ring. I think that this one's about 2.5 millimeter approximately. Doesn't have to be exact. And one of the things we want to do when we're nymph fishing is have a thin diameter tippet immediately off the indicator. The thinner the diameter tippet, the quicker the sink rate. And then also a tippet, as you know, that's level in diameter is going to sink at a uniform rate rather than unevenly. So off this tippet ring, I have an OX, but I can go straight from OX to a 6X or a 7X tippet because I have this connection between the tippet ring. The other thing I like about this, and this is not going to kill licensing, or one of the things I like about the tippet ring is it allows you to create a long-lasting leader because every time you attach tippet, you attach it directly to the ring. You never cut back on the leader. So like where I fish, for example, in central PA, it's a cloudy location. We don't get a whole lot of UV, a lot of sunlight. I'll have leaders that will last me literally 6 to 9 months before the UV breaks it down. So the tippet ring is great for allowing an angler to keep a leader for a long time. So that's just a basic leader. Again, we're just starting off with a 9-foot 4X leader, cutting back about 4 feet to the OX diameter, and then just attaching our 3-color tone cider materials. And at each color change, we're going to do a blood knot, provide points of contrast, but then also to add tag ends so we can float the cider at a distance, followed by the tippet ring, and then to our tippet. And then the tippet, depending on the conditions, you can range anywhere from 3 feet all the way to 7 or 8 feet, depending on the depth of the water that you're fishing. But right there is kind of the basic leader formula that's going to get you started.
Tippet and droppers often confuse people, but the concept is quite simple, as George tells us here.
Tippet length is determined really by how close you're going to be fishing to you and also the depth of the water. If I'm fishing up close and I'm fishing 3 foot of water on average, and we're going to be fishing basically underneath the rod tip, my tippet length is going to be about 4 feet. If I'm fishing big water like on the Farmington where I can't get up on the fish but I have to cast further out and at an angle, usually the tippet length is going to be about twice the length of the average depth of the I'm fishing.
And 4, 5, 6X depending on the size of the flies in the water? And
correct. Normally 4X is pretty good in basically high water. Normally back home, 5X, 6X is probably my go-to diameters. And we have the clinch knot with our OX cider material. Again, the nice thing about the tippet ring, it allows us to attach a level section of tippet material. And the idea with the level diameter is everything's going to sink at a quick sink rate. I like fluorocarbon just not because of the invisibility factor, but because of the abrasion resistance. You're going to be pulling, your tippet's going to be underneath the water, obviously, going against rocks, hard substrate, and so forth. And I find that fluorocarbon is far more abrasive resistant than nylon. So I lose far fewer flies.
And it sinks a little quicker.
Exactly.
Now, you just doing a standard clinch?
Just doing a standard clinch knot. Correct.
Not an improved clinch?
Not an improved clinch. No, I find that the standard clinch, as long as the tag ends are pulled tight, I find it just to be just as strong as an improved clinch. Now, we can fish one fly or we can fish two flies. You know, if we're fishing 3 foot of water, you know, we have a 4 foot section of tippet right here. So this is where my point fly is going to be. If I want to add a second fly, I start off with 4 feet, and then what I'm going to do is just run my hand up the leader to wherever I want to add a dropper. And we're just going to add another section of 5X using a surgeon's knot. Take off about 8 to 10 inches, and wherever I want to add that dropper, we're just going to do a 2-turn Orvis tippet knot. That's it.
That's your upper fly, or your dropper?
That's my upper fly.
And your point fly is on the end there.
And eventually, if you change your flies enough with the dropper, all you need to do is just, when this gets short and stubby, just trim this off. And you can pull off another section of 4 or 5X. And then you can basically do a clinch knot.
Around the standing part?
Around the standing part and slide it down. And that just allows you to keep the dropper going.
This video is made possible by Fish USA, America's fly shop. Visit us today at fishusa.com.